This is new for me then.
Do I know this?
I don't. Did I talk to you about Superman?
Oh, well, no, that wasn't my...
Superman was a conversation I had with somebody on a podcast, whatever,
Andy.
but I didn't tell a lot of detail. But basically, oh yes, because I was like, he's the unicorn.
He was fake.
Right? So, and we'll get back to polyamory on this point right here. Remind me, let's put a pin in
unicorns.
that. Of unicorns. Let's put a pin in that.
Yeah.
But basically what I was saying was, like, he matched with me. I looked at the pictures. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, I've never seen anybody so beautiful
fake.
in my life. So the first hour, he was kind of like, why are you here? Because I'm looking for a real relationship. And if you're not, that's totally great. But I'm kind of out. This was chatting through the app at this point. And I was like, well, God, I've never heard that before. Like, weird. Okay. So I kind of I dove in a little. I tend to like just dip my toe in and be like, because in general, I'm skeptical about everything.
You're testing the waters.
And so I'm like, oh, he seems to be like doing all the right things. So, and he's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen on the planet. So I'm like, all right, maybe luck is on my side and I'm going to meet the most handsome dude ever. Needless to say, as this progresses and then we get off the app and on regular texting and actually on WhatsApp, which was my first clue that, okay, there's something weird.
Oh, no.
So anyway, this progresses and progresses until the point where I'm like, I don't even think this guy's a real person. Like, not for real, but a real person. Like, who? So,
okay, time out. My guess, Heather, we're going to do quick guesses. My guess is this is someone who's in prison who has no access to actually the outside world.
But how does he have access to Hinge?
Joyna, if you saw the picture,
He has a cell phone.
The second she showed the picture, I was like, are you serious? That's totally fake. I mean, it was almost like one of the stock photos that is inside like picture frames when you first buy them.
That's how beautiful he was. We call him Superman because there is actually one picture on his app. And by the way, he connected me with his Instagram right away. So then that kind of threw me off. I'm like, oh, he's willing to actually show me his Instagram. So,
he had a fake
maybe.
Instagram too.
Shut the fuck up. Will you stop?
so
You're going to ruin my party. You're going to ruin my party.
Okay, hold on.
So, and he had a Superman shirt on. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this goes over, I don't know, a couple of weeks or so. And then finally, I'm like,
I know the podcast listeners can't see it. Can I see?
Oh, the picture?
Yeah.
No, because since then, I'll get to that point.
Okay.
You can't, because I can't access him anymore.
But you could probably get to his Instagram.
So, I could do that. Now that I'm starting to get skeptical. I'm like, all right, there's something weird here. So I decided I'm going to see, like, I'm like, all right, okay, here's why it was weird. He was saying all the right things, and then within days, he's telling me he wants to move here. He loves me. He wants, like, all of this stuff. Is it one of
the Moroccan marriage? There's a whole thing. The Moroccan husband marriage thing.
But this is where he throws me off. When I met him, you know how you can see the location? He was in San Francisco. And then over the next couple of days, he told me what he did and all the stuff. And then he lives in Michigan. He just happened to be in San Francisco. So already I'm like, well, this is never going to work because I'm not going to Michigan.
Mm-hmm. Geographically undesirable.
Exactly. I decided at one point I was finally like, we need to talk on the phone. Like, and he kind of kept pushing me off. And like, you know, all the stuff, all the reasons why he couldn't talk on the phone. So I was like, all right, I'm out till we can talk on the phone. So then he circles back a few days later and he's like, I'm ready to talk on the phone now. Do you want to talk? So I go into this fancy ass phone booth we have in the back room here. And I'm like, I call him. I don't know where he lives. I was like, wait a minute. You said because he's from Germany, but now he lives in Michigan. He grew up he moved to Michigan when he was 22. All this, I'm trying to put all the data points together. And I'm like, he could barely speak English. Definitely not a German accent. And when I say barely speak English, part of that is, and there's no judgment to real people who have disabilities, but I was like, he's stuttering, but not stuttering because he has a problem, but because he can't get the right word. I don't know.
Like he doesn't know the right word to say in English?
I guess. Anyway, long story short, I was like, this guy's bullshit. He is a fraud. Like, he has stolen somebody's Instagram. He's on Hinge. So now I'm pissed at Hinge because this was the final straw. I talked to him. I thought, something's weird. I'm listening to my gut. I look on the app, because at this point we had been off the app. The app still says that he's in San Francisco, but he's telling me he's in Michigan. And all this stuff's happening. So I'm like, I'm out. I close it. Then he's like DMing me on Hinge, on my text, on Instagram. Like, where are you? I miss you, blah, 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 blah. In the meantime, all throughout this, I had been talking to my friend Catherine in New York, and I'm telling her about her. The day after I talked to him on the phone, I'm like, there's something weird. She sends me a screenshot of her phone on another dating app that she's on, and it's him with a different name.
How interesting.
He's stealing people's profiles.
Well, that's catfishing.
Right. So
And
that happened to me.
That to me signifies, or
I'm pissed at Hinge. I'm not pissed at him. He's
no, but I
whatever.
think when people actually meet someone, their profile doesn't get deleted. You're still actually seeing them too, which makes it perhaps easy to steal those profiles.
Sure.
Maybe.
I don't know. Anyway, that was my last Hinge. I was like, all right, I'm out. Crazy.
I don't know that that's any particular app's fault though.
Well,
I'm going to stand up for tech here and just say
because
that
the same
like they can't,
location.
they don't know. I mean, obviously, if he hacked into somebody else's account and took that over or whatever, then it can maintain what it is.
How did he take over that guy's Instagram?
Maybe it's fake. Maybe he made it up.
Maybe the question is,
This is where I'm like, part of me, believe it or not, is
But-
still a little bit innocent that this stuff doesn't really happen in real life. And I'm
but
like,
Danielle,
really?
it was also maybe getting curious of like, what drew you into this guy?
Oh, he was hot.
So hot.
It was
like
purely superficial.
When I
There's no
first
doubt
saw
about
the
that.
picture and said he was fake, it was almost like, nobody is that beautiful. Come on.
Obviously there is. I think but here's one thing that I did figure out with those pictures. They all look like stock photos. What he was doing, and this is interesting. This is a part of the puzzle I can't really fit together. I noticed if you look really closely at all the pictures, he had a remote. And in his hand, he was taking these professional photos of himself, like, standing in front of the
I think my
fancy
favorite
car,
was
and
he was
then,
on
like,
the beach.
I don't know. There was one, though, that I was like, okay, I know this guy's real because it was, when you wake up in the morning, this happens to everybody, and they all have the wake up face, like where your skin's a little bit puffy and your eyes are a little bit puffy, and it's super sexy, right? If you're sleeping next to him. He had that face in the picture, and I'm like, oh no, this is totally real. Look, he just woke up and took a picture of his face, and he looks fucking hot. I literally, it was like the bottom half of my body following that path. And but I was like, oh my God, I always thought I was a smart person. I'm as susceptible as the little old granny who just got a phone call from somebody in wherever saying, wire me
It's humbling.
$100,000.
It's humbling.
It is humbling.
Super
Yeah.
humbling.
It's super humbling because for Mr. Big,
Mr. Big.
Right.
Let's go back to Mr. Polyamory.
even though
I want to know more about
I
polyamory.
know deep down inside of me, I'm not polyamorous. I want to explore monogamy in all of its facets, right? That weekend, I went to a bookstore looking at all the different books on polyamory to figure out, am I polyamorous?
Or, what is this all about? Could
Were
I
you
be
trying to
polyamorous?
say? Were you trying to find out? Are you polyamorous, or do I want to be polyamorous?
Do I want to be? Because I was so attracted to this guy. I was like, whoa,
I'll do anything.
I will do anything
I
to
think
understand.
it's what am I missing out on? Like, really? Interesting. Okay, what is this?
And
Yeah.
it really was curiosity of
Yeah.
like, okay, for him. I mean, the thing is, Mr. Big, he grew up in a Mormon family.
Well, that's
Oh.
why it's duh.
That's not a far reach.
Not
Yeah.
at all, not at all. But he's like, I've been monogamous.
love.
I've done all these different things, and now for me, I know polyamory is what works for me. And it kind of shook and rattled my bones a bit of like, whoa, I've been playing it safe for so long, 2 boyfriends, and I can count all the people I've slept with on, 2 hands. That's it. I was like, maybe I got to shake up my life. Maybe I got to try different things. And same thing with you, Danielle. The gut reaction is like, are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
But you and I had a little bit of it. This is where we kind of stopped our conversation that day
Right.
because we were talking about, for example, polyamory versus non-monogamy. Like there are and this is where I will just throw out there that I'm very ignorant. I'm very curious. I'm like you. I'm very curious because I do believe, for me, and I don't know what it means, but for me, the traditional white picket fence, like 1950s American, which seems to be still in 2019, at least in Sonoma, that I don't think that relationship works for me, but I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means non-monogamous. I don't know if it means polyamorous. Maybe it just means that we have separate schedules and we, you know, I don't know, we mark on the calendar the days that we're going to have sex. I don't know what that means.
There's such a spectrum now.
So, but I'm so curious because you said you dove in with him on like, what does polyamory mean?
Right. And then
first of all, what is the difference between that and non-monogamous? Because there is a difference, didn't you say to me, more in maybe the mindset around it or the...
Right. So the basic things is polyamory is like the umbrella. Okay. And I'm truly sorry.
By the way, I feel embarrassed because maybe I should know all of this information.
I don't know.
Again, I'm putting a disclaimer of like, I'm really sorry that I'm not polyamorous right now, or maybe I will be someday, who knows. But I'm trying to express this based on books that I've read. So for those of you listening that are polyamorous, non-monogamous, you know, have these different things, please forgive me in my own ignorance as I explain this.
You're so awesome. I have so much to learn from you.
Totally.
Okay. I just know I don't know everything and I never will. But from what I understand from reading different books and from talking to Mr. Big is that polyamory is a big umbrella term that includes all these different components of, you know, monogamy to non-monogamy to polyamory to, I don't know.
Open marriages
to, I don't know, triage. Who knows? Yeah. I'm getting the words butchered. But he says for him, it was more about non-monogamy of, I have a girlfriend. I really love her. And I also like the freedom of connecting with other women because what happens is that when I meet or when I'm with another woman connecting in a sexual way, it gets me excited of something new that I can bring back to the relationship.
Okay, that's very hot.
From a sexual standpoint, yes. It is. But for me to be that other person that is basically being the fluffer,
number two
for another relationship, right. So I will never be a number two.
So here's something.
I do feel that way.
There's a book called Ethical Slut. I can't remember the author.
Oh my God, I need to read that book. That's amazing.
Well, hold on. So this is a whole book written by two women that are non-monogamous, polyamorous, that write wonderful things. They've been coaches for a long time. Guess how many pages are dedicated to the other?
What do you mean the other?
The third person, the person that's coming in.
Not so many.
2 pages.
Yeah.
Out of like 400.
Yeah. They're inconsequential. They're pawns.
These are the people that I cannot wait for part 2 of this podcast because I'm going to throw this out there to people who are listening and to you guys. I'm deliberately doing this with just Joyna and Heather because part 2 of this episode is going to be from the male perspective, and I'm going to just throw it out there. Andy, who seems to have a lot of knowledge just in general about everything in the world, also has knowledge about this, and I want the guy's perspective on this. And so anyway,
here's also something that I want to check because this is something that feels true for me. I want to check with both of you. Sex in its components, right? My understanding is, and my experience has been that men are able to compartmentalize. You know, sex can be just sex, or sex can be emotional. Whereas for me, an emotional connection with the sex makes it that much better.
Oh, for sure. I think it makes it better, what you just said. An emotional connection brings it to another level. It doesn't necessarily mean I have to have an emotional connection.
True.
But it's a completely different experience.
True. But if I'm thinking about long-term goals for myself,
right.
I want to be with a partner that we are emotionally connected so that the sex just goes out the roof instead of just like, okay, I'm fucking you right now.
Right.
And
I don't think for sure. Like I've had great like stranger sex in quotation marks where it's just, you know, nothing that's going to go anywhere kind of thing. And it's been hot on its own accord. But I know going into it, there is no vulnerability. There is no emotionality to it.
Yeah, but-
and that in of itself is hot.
But don't you think